Your intuition never lets up. Your insecurity will go away. The moment you feel safe or somebody makes you feel safe, that feeling is when you say, oh, I was wrong about that person. They're really nice. I had a bad feeling, but they were so nice to me and I think they're really wonderful and I was completely wrong. You were right. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Call Cut with Angelique. Today, we're going to go deeper into the narcissistic personality. I get questions about narcissism all the time. People ask me about friends, about family, etc. I did a whole segment on a Call Cut with Angelique on family, and today we're going to go a little deeper into the workplace narcissist and the friends, the people that come to you under the guise of friendship. As a matter of fact, we're going to start with the friend zone. So many of us have all different kinds of friends, but friends are actually supposed to be in categories. They don't all come on the same level and they don't all have the same intention. And sometimes it takes a while for us to figure out who is actually our ally and who is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, it's not a good feeling when we find out that somebody that we thought of as a friend or somebody who we thought truly loved us actually turns out to be our biggest enemy. But there is quite a bit that goes with this because this happens a lot. This is something that happens to people on a regular basis where they will see someone, click with them, trauma bond with them. And the next thing you know, they're besties. And before you know it, they're torn apart. When we talk about narcissism, there's all different levels of it, right? There's a clinically diagnosed narcissist, and that is not the same as people who have narcissistic tendency or people who are just inherently selfish. And people who are inherently selfish, they project in the same way that a narcissist does, except a narcissist typically lacks empathy. There are selfish people that can be somewhat empathetic to another person's plight. I've actually met them. I know it sounds crazy, but there are many people who have many different facets. We have to remember that the world is not black and white. It's very gray. And even though we see things in technicolor, we have gray matter between our ears. And it's in this labyrinth, in a shape of a labyrinth. And actually, if you look at the spiral, it's a very similar journey. And the brain is designed the same way. And we make our way through this gray matter and we try to find our way out of this labyrinth. Well, if you look at life from black and white, it's going to be really, really hard to get a hold of anything because nothing ever happens in absolutes. Everything happens in this spectrum. So there are people that can have narcissistic tendencies, but also be really good people. And there are also people who can project as though they're really good people and not be good people. They just have a very good presentation. They present themselves in a way that makes people feel as though they are somehow the greatest person in the world. And behind the scenes, they are competitive, they are full of themselves, and all of their agenda is about them. It's not actually about you or anybody else that they pretend it's about. Now, we see these people everywhere, friends. We see narcissists, people who are completely self-obsessed and self-absorbed, and they really don't care about anyone else. But let's talk about the people in your life that you're pretty sure are people who don't care about you. The friend that is talking badly about you, and you know they're talking badly about you, but you don't want to do anything about it because you're afraid they're going to attack you. I see this a lot. And I had a friend of mine actually say to me, that she would rather stay in this group of women that she knows are just absolutely terrible for her because she's more afraid of leaving this group and having these women talk about her. Now, I want to get into the dynamics of this because this is a story that if you are with a group, that you are somehow protected by that group. People believe because of our tribalism that being in a group is better than being a lone wolf because the group will protect you. Well, if the group is talking trash about you and everybody else in it, do you really think that they're protecting you? They're not. And 9 times out of 10, when you come across, let's just use for an example, a queen bee narcissist, and she has her minions. If you think of the movie Mean Girls, right? And Regina George was the queen bee narcissist, and she had her 2 little minions who actually lacked an identity. And because they didn't have an identity of their own outside of wanting to be popular, they glommed on to Regina, and anything Regina did, it was like, oh my God, yeah, yeah, yeah. You see this everywhere. This is how people behave. They get into groups, and that's where this cult mentality starts to form. These groups start to come together and they all kind of have a hive, right? This hive mentality. And this hive mentality at first seems really cool until you start to break down the dynamics of it. All of a sudden, you become their puppet. You have to do what they say. They're not going to give you support or validation or friendship if you don't show up for them in the way that they're hoping that you will. And you have to be careful, friends, because this stuff is everywhere, even on the internet, in the form of pods and groups that go out there and they try to find people who have influence or find people who are looking to expand their platforms, and they rope you in with this idea that, hey, compadre, right? Compound force. The more of us there are together, the more powerful we're going to be. But read the fine print, friends, because the fine print is they always have to be above you. And that is where these narcissists live, right? They live in a castle above everybody else that says, you can be my minion, right? You could be my entourage, or you can be my loyal subject, and I will open up the world for you, but don't surpass me. This is where it becomes dangerous, because if you are somebody that has a big heart and a big platform and a big life, and you're out there in the world doing you, you have to be careful of the people that you choose to bring into your inner circle. And I know this is hard for a lot of people. This is something that was hard for me. I am a narcissist magnet, and that has to do with my family, right? When you come up in a family of narcissists, narcissism feels like home. The minute you meet those kinds of people, you're like, oh yeah, that energy, that pattern feels very familiar. And so you kind of step right into it and you don't realize it's happening. Now, when you do the shadow work and you start to call cut, which we're going to get to in a minute, you won't fall into that pattern. But until you actually sit and face your shadow and you really find out where all of this is coming from, it is a lot harder for you to spot the narcissists quickly, because they're usually charming. They're usually love bombing you. I mean, they are just coming on strong and telling you how absolutely fabulous and wonderful you are and amazing. And they're probably not lying. They genuinely feel that way about you in the moment until it switches. Because you have to understand, with a narcissist, what they love about you is also what they're threatened by. So if they love the fact that you are this unbelievably magnetic personality, or you're so beautiful, or you're so handsome, or you're so smart, or whatever it is, they're glomming onto you for that reason, because they want to extract that from you. And when they do this, they do it in a very charming way. It's usually a support. I got you. I'm here in your corner. I'm your champion. They're your champion until they're not. Until suddenly they start to realize that your light is surpassing anything that they could want to do. Suddenly they realize that you are something far bigger than they're ever going to be. And now they try really hard. And they try harder and harder and harder, but they still can't manage to do it. They can't compete with you. Aha. There's the word. Competition and comparison will always come with a narcissist. And you may not know it, because there are a lot of people out there who are what we call covert narcissists. And I think in some ways the covert narcissist is the more terrifying, even more terrifying than the queen bee. Because the covert narcissist, and by the way, this is men and women, this is not just women. A covert narcissist comes under the guise of, I'm going to help you. I'm going to do this for you. I just want to champion you because I really believe in you. And my God, they say all the right words. But deep down, there is something beneath the surface that you cannot trust with a covert narcissist. And it doesn't matter what shiny package they come in or how they're trying to do something amazing in this world. Let me tell you how many covert narcissists are trying to change the world. Now, they're trying to change the world so they could get accolade and they could get fame and they could get prestige, but they are trying to change the world. And they truly believe that people can't see through it. They think people are stupid enough to believe that there's no ego there. But over time, the ego breaks through because it has nowhere to go. When we don't do the shadow work, the ego's at the forefront of everything we do. So if you're someone who is very self-serving, but you're projecting that you're doing everything for everyone else, even the way you speak will be tainted with this strange sort of twist where people will get a vibe off of you that this is not just from the goodness of your heart. And these people can infiltrate your life very, very easily. They can get in there because they're not afraid to humble themselves before you, before they decide that they're going to siphon your light, take everything that's yours, and run off into the sunset. Now, it's not fun to deal with these kinds of people. It hurts. It is incredibly hurtful when you find out that people have been pretending to be your friend or showing up for you simply because they think they're going to get something out of it, or trying to mine you and extract from you and everything else under the sun. It's very hurtful. And it really makes you stop and think. And for some people, they will give up on whatever it is they're doing in life because these people really get to them. And this is where we are going to call cut, friends, because you are not going to let some narcissistic personality take you down. So there's two things you have to know. One, the reason these people are attracted to you are twofold. One, you probably have a familial pattern or some sort of inherent bloodline entanglement that deals with narcissism. And so when you meet those personalities, there is something familiar about them. And I'm not going to use the word safe because it's not. It's just familiar. And oftentimes your body will start to react in the physical form. You can get physically ill. I throw up, literally throw up when I am in the presence of somebody who is a terrible energy from me. I also get debilitating migraines. I start to get physically ill where I can no longer hang out with them because my body is telling me, warning, warning, stay away, stay away. There's something you're missing. And this internal system that we have is incredible, friends. And sometimes people will ask me, well, Angelique, how do I know the difference between intuition and insecurity? And this is a really good question because insecurity gives you almost the same sort of reactions, right? Your stomach might hurt a little bit. You feel a little bit uncomfortable. So let me tell you the difference. Your intuition never lets up. Okay. And I'm going to say that again. Your intuition never lets up. Your insecurity will go away. The moment you feel safe or somebody makes you feel safe, that feeling is when you say, oh, I was wrong about that person. They're really nice. I had a bad feeling, but they were so nice to me and I think they're really wonderful and I was completely wrong. You were right. You were right. But your insecurity is now convincing your intuition that you were wrong. And why does this happen? Because we don't want to judge people poorly. We don't want to snap judgment. Sometimes we do want to give people the benefit of the doubt. And if you are someone who is an empath, for God's sakes, you're trying desperately to see the good in people and you believe that people are inherently good. So for you, it's even worse, Mr. or Mrs. Empath, because you're feeling this on such a strong level that for you, it's like, well, wait a minute. I was wrong about this person. I thought that I should be careful, but oh my God, they're amazing. And they usually get you through flattery, right? And the minute somebody flatters you and suddenly they're kind to you, and my goodness, we are living in a world where kindness is at such a deficit that the moment somebody is kind to somebody else who is desperately seeking it, oh my God, the walls come down. The walls may come down for a moment, but your intuition will not let up. If you engage with that person, if you trust that person, if you start to become a friend of that person, or let's say you have to work on a project at work, your intuition will never let up. It will keep telling you something's off, something's off, something's off. That's how you know. So you have to begin to look past the surface. Look past people being kind to you. Look past the flowery words, even the gestures. Look past the love bombing because love bombing is a thing. They're going to love bomb you. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear. We have to look past all of that because your intuition will tell you exactly who this person is. They will say things They will do things. All of a sudden, you're going to say, that's interesting. That doesn't feel right. In order for us to get into unity consciousness and to really, truly be one, this unified being, right, of the human race, we got to get past these narcissistic personalities. We have to heal that within us that is broken, that feels less than, that doesn't feel enough. Because the more we go into these selfish tendencies or we allow people around us to have these unbelievably selfish tendencies, the human race cannot heal. We may not be able to change people, but we can change our reaction and interaction. So when you are in the company of somebody who you are pretty sure is a narcissist, this is where you are going to call cut. When you call cut, you say, wait a minute, I am not going to go down this road. And they can be love bombing you and telling you how wonderful you are, but you pull your energy back. Doesn't mean you can't be friendly, but you should not be friends. The more time we spend with people, the more people court us. And in the world of shamanism, if you could see what a cord actually looks like, it looks like a little hook. And it goes out and it hooks into whoever you're talking to. Now, if there is good intent, an even exchange of positive energy, I will say, those cords are a light color and they go back and forth. And each person, if you see, is exchanging light, it's exchanging energy. But if one person is extracting, they're hooked in and they're simply taking from another person. And you will see this where energy is flowing from one person to the other, and you can actually see the auric field start to go down in the other person as that energy is being taken by the person who is extracting. It's incredible and it's real, friends. So when you feel drained, this term didn't come from nowhere. You are being drained. It's being siphoned, okay? They call them energy vampires. Why vampires? What do vampires do? They suck your blood. Well, what do energy vampires do? They suck your energy. And so both ways you get drained of your life force. And you can justify it in any way you want. But when this is consistently happening to you, your ability to be successful starts to disappear because you need your life force energy to bring into this world everything that you are here to do. Now, I want to be clear about something. You don't have to be here to do something unbelievably spectacular. No, just living your life, doing good in the world, going out there and being a good human. That is actually the most spectacular thing you could ever do. But you need your energy for that. You cannot surround yourself with low vibing people that are going to extract your life force and go use it for their own gain. You've got to protect your energy. So how do we do that? Let's get into that. The first thing we do is we've got to ground to the earth. And I'm going to uncross my legs here and put my feet flat on the floor because that's how we do this. Put your feet flat on the floor. Now, if you can't go outside, let's say you're in your office and you are around a bunch of folk and you can't go outside, you put your feet on the ground and in your mind, you just imagine that all that negative energy is going down your body into the floor. Like you're just dumping it into the floor, dumping it into the floor. And in the top of your head, there's a golden cord that's connected to the light. And you just start pulling fresh, clean energy into your body. And you do this while you're sitting in a meeting. You get really good at it. And I'll sometimes, with my hands, I'll just push the energy down. And if I'm on a call and you can only see, the upper part of my body, I will use my hands, and I'm doing it right now where I'm pushing the energy down and I'm pushing it down and I'm calling it in my head. Now, if you have any deity that you love that is benevolent, like Jesus or Mary or Buddha or Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, anybody, Muhammad, call them in. Call in your angels, call in your guides, call in anyone and anything that you can, your ancestors, whomever protects you. And you can do this in different ways. You can even pick a geometry. And a lot of times we have a specific geometry. Either you can envision a circle or a pyramid or a square, anything that keeps you protected and you keep that energy locked in so nobody can penetrate it. It's good to put a golden ball of light around you. If you don't have a specific geometry, you can start with that. Just a golden ball of light around your body that protects you from any negative entities or thoughts that other people might be projecting your way. And this way, they can't send out those little hooks that I was telling you about and cord you with whatever nonsense they're trying to cord you with. The better you get at this, the better you will be in general in protecting your energy. But to go one step further, we want to make sure we don't bring those people into our sphere, period. Now, it's hard to avoid in the workplace. It's really hard to avoid in the workplace. You're going to meet people of all different vibes wherever you go. So get good at shielding, get good at grounding, get really, really well versed in how to do spiritual protection. There's a thing called aura spikes. You can put your aura spikes out, and that pushes people out of your energy field. Get good at that and use the call cut method to call cut on these personalities in your friendship arena. Because while we can't really avoid it in our place of business, we sure as hell can avoid who we pull into our family dynamic and who we pull into our friend dynamic. Now, I want to say something that I said a while back in another podcast. Just because somebody is family doesn't mean that they have free reign to be in your life. They have to earn their spot in your life. You don't just tolerate bullshit because, oh, I'm related to this person and, blood is thicker than water. The blood is not thicker than water. Okay, I did a whole post on this about blood not being thicker than water. Okay, so we need to get past this idea. We need to move into the idea that there are people in this world who are our soul family and our soul tribe, and they may come in the avatar, one that is not connected to us through bloodline. And we can bring those people in, but we have to make sure that this machine is working. So if our intuition is telling us that somebody is not good, we have to call cut on that relationship instantly. We have to sit with ourselves and say, it doesn't matter what they say about me. I'm good. You are not going to prevent somebody from talking trash about you. You're not going to prevent somebody from trying to color how other people see you. You're not going to prevent people from gossiping about you. You're absolutely not. So keeping them in your sphere is not a good idea. It just isn't. I talked about this on TikTok. In 1974, The Godfather, Michael Corleone said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And people have always, one, misattributed that quote to Machiavelli or to Sun Tzu, both of which did not say that, but said something in the same vein. Chapter 3 of The Art of War, he does go into the dynamics on keeping your enemy in your sphere, but it's not about keeping your enemy close. Keeping your enemy close is not a good idea because people who don't like you should not have access to you. Access and proximity are not the same thing. People can be in proximity to you, but if they don't know anything about you and they don't know your story and they don't know your day-to-day life, you are somewhat protected. But if you allow them access to you and you let them in your home and your family and your friends and all the rest of it, now they have a different level of access. If you're telling them your deepest, darkest secrets, they have a different level of access. I was friends with this woman who I was just never sure about her. There was a part of me that really loved her and wanted to keep her in my life. And then there was another part of me that knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was a queen bee narcissist and I had to get away from her. I would be sick every time I was around her. I would get horrible migraines and anxiety and all sorts of stuff. My body was going crazy toward the end where it'd be like 4 or 5 days where I'd be knocked out with some weird thing. Anyway, she called me one time and said, we're supposed to be good friends. And, if you're going through something, you can tell me, you should tell me I'm your friend. You have to tell me all of these things. And I thought, holy shit. No effing way. If I tell you anything, A, that story is going to be misconstrued. B, you're going to use and weaponize every single thing I tell you against me, and not to me, but behind my back to other people who you're trying to color their opinion of me. And I was so dead on right about this that I found out later after I stopped talking to her and I cut her out, found out later that's exactly what she was doing. When I heard all the stories she had made up about me, I was like, wow. I wasn't surprised, but I was shocked that she had the gall to do something like that. But again, narcissists will do that because when they can't control you, they want to control how other people see you. Now, if I had been afraid of what this person was going to say about me, maybe I would have stayed in that relationship. Well, just keep the queen being happy and she won't attack me. Fuck that. Off with her head. Who cares, friends? Do not be afraid to stand in your own light. Anybody who's going to listen to some lunatic who's talking crap about you is just like them. They want that story. They want to believe the lie about you. So the universe does you a favor. When they bring these people into your sphere, they show you not only who your major enemy is, but everybody who is just like them. Your job is to be like, aha, yep, got it. And just cut. You will find amazing people, but you got to cut the crap out because we're containers and we can only hold a certain amount of energy. And if all you're holding are these crappy people who really don't care about you and are just trying to mine you and extract from you and take you down, and they're with jealousy and envy and they feel threatened by you, well then how the heck do you have any room for the good people that want to come in and lift you up and truly be your champions? You won't. So you got to start calling cut on all of these insecurities that keep you tied to people who are vexatious to your spirit. This is shadow work at its deepest level. Staring yourself in the mirror and saying, I would rather be a lone wolf than be in bad company. I would rather go at it and just kind of have a very small circle of people than hang out at a table of people who absolutely despise me. But in life, if you want to have your fully embodied power and your energy, you have to be around people who are fully embodied in their power and their energy, because here's the amazing thing. This is how compound energy actually works. It's not about grabbing a bunch of minions or, your entourage and people who are just going to feed you. It's about this mutual exchange of energy. You can actually manifest things twice as fast when two people or more are honed in and focused on the same outcome. When my girlfriend and I were focused on this project, I cannot tell you how fast this thing came to fruition. And anybody who's actually been in the film industry and done movies and television and tried to get things off the ground, it takes forever. It is the slowest machine ever, okay? And we did this thing like we got greenlit in 24 hours. We were moving forward. We got this, we got that. Compound energy, that is how that works. But that's because she's fully embodied. I'm fully embodied. Two people standing fully in their light, coming together. Fantastic. But if one person is an empath and they're being drained and the other person is a narcissist and they're just shining their light to the expense of somebody else, unfortunately, that's not going to work out the way everybody planned. So these dynamics are not easy to navigate, friends. They're really not. That's why shielding tools, using the call cut method to constantly call cut on yourself and your own insecurities is what helps you realign with your power. The more you realize that you don't need anything outside of you and that everything that you need is already within, you will go to a whole other level of empowerment. You will go to a different level of embodiment. Suddenly, you will be standing fully in your light, not understanding why you ever did anything less than. But you have to do the work. And doing the work means finding those negative feedback loops that are holding you back and calling cut on those old stories. The story that you're not good enough, the story that nobody likes you, the story that you're going to be alone. You're not going to be alone, friend. You're not. I'm telling you, for as many times in my life as I had to cut people out of my life like a cancer, family, friends, coworkers, the more you get people out of your life, the more room you have for these beautiful people to come in. And that's what you really need. And that is what you deserve. You deserve beautiful people in your life because you are a beautiful soul. And don't let anybody tell you less. Don't let anybody tell you that you are not worthy of the light that you have within. We are all just travelers on this super messy journey of life, and we are all doing the best we can with what we have. So don't beat yourself up if you get locked into some crazy relationship with a narcissist or some friendship or some business interaction. Just see it for what it is. Call cut on the story, realign your energy, throw up your protective barrier, and keep on keeping on, because the only thing in life that can ever truly stop you is you. Thank you so much for joining me on Call Cut with Angelique. New episodes drop every Friday. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share with your friends. And remember, folks, no matter what life gives you, you must always keep shining.